it's your Wisconsin wine guy back here again on this wonderful Wine Wednesday. And I must say that this next 3 Wednesdays starting today is going to be extra special. If you watched the video from last week, you would recall that I'm going to be reviewing wines in these next 3 Wednesdays, a series, Wines Compliments of Wine Insider Wines. This was a 6-pack of wines, and I'm going to be reviewing 2 wines each out of that 6-pack until we conclude the whole 6-pack of wines. Now, this is going to be extra special because I'm going to do this wine tasting like an on-demand style tasting, meaning if you purchase the wines, you can taste right along with me. In the video, I'll give clues that say you can pause here, where if you're tasting it with friends, you can talk amongst yourselves. If you think about the wines, you know, what you don't like about the wines, what you like about the wines, etc., then you can just start the video. Let's say you missed something that I've said, you can rewind it back and then replay it. How cool is that? So this is going to be a very nice style of wine tasting, something new I'm trying to try out here, but I think it's a great way to introduce the wines. The link in the last video gave you a link to where you can purchase the wines and receive $25 off your purchase. There will be a link in the bottom linking with these 2 wines. There you can purchase these wines if you want to conduct this tasting at a later date with your friends. So now let's get down to business here. The wines are unopened. My white is chilled. My red is ready. I have my corkscrew. I have my white background. I have my tasting sheet, my tasting mat, I like to call it. You know, we're going to go through that a little bit. And I also have my Haley's corkers. I mean, you see how those work as we go along. So I'm really looking forward to showing you these wines. Oh, also, the legendary thumbs rating system, that's not going away. That is very much a part of this. I'm just going to take this a little bit slower and give you a chance to taste right along with me. So without further ado, let's get started. Our first 2 wines in the lineup. Oh, don't forget your water. My first 2 wines in the lineup are going to be from the winery. The name of the wine is going to be called Terra Sera. Terra Sera wines. I have a Terra Sera white and a Terra Sera red, and I'll tell you more about those wines and the grapes that are made from when we get to the tasting. So the Terra Sera wines are from the Hacienda Gaston, or the Zuazo family, Hacienda, House of Gaston. You know, out of Spain, more in the northern area of Rioja. I like saying that, Rioja. Excuse my Spanish accent. You know, so we're gonna first, like I always like to do, is like to open the wines, pour the wines, go through a tasting process here. Let's put my glasses outside my tasting mat. Go through a tasting process here, you know, and then talk more about the wines. So let's get the wines open. Our white, the vintages on both, let's say, will be 2019. 2019 for the white, 2019 for the red. Your white wine is going to be made from a grape called Verdejo. Verdejo. Can we say it together? Verdejo. Now, I like to try different grapes, different white wines. We all know Chardonnay, we all know Pinot Grigio, we all know, you know, Rieslings, Sauvignon Blancs, you know, but it's always good to try other grapes. Oh, I want to show you this. This was pretty cool. I'll show you the next wine. Check out this cork. All right, let's get that out. I have a 2-step corkscrew here. So we get that cork out. This is pretty cool. So this cork, if you can look at that, you know, it has, this is the part of the cork that's fully immersed in the bottle and has a grooved edge here on the cork. Now, here's the key part of this cork. I'll show you on, this is after my cork went inside the bottle. Here's the cork. It even gives you a guide. Insert cork here. How cool is that, right? So you can't make a mistake on this one. It is a synthetic cork, you know, so that when you are storing the wine, you can store it upright, nothing happen to the wine. Unlike the traditional cork, you know, which if the cork is bad, the wine potentially can be bad. So I'm going to stick my Haley's corker inside my white wine. So what is Haley's corker? Haley's corker is a wine preserver, a wine pourer, a wine sealer. You know, so that if you can't fit your cork back in, which sometimes with synthetic corks you can't stick them back in, use a Haley's corker. I prefer that better than the pump. The link for Haley's corkers will be down in the description too. Check this out. You can lay it down and everything is going to be Fine. So let's get both these wines open. Again, as I said, the white is going to be made from a grape, a white grape or green grape called Verdejo. Man, I really love how easy it is to open up this wine with that guide now. How cool is that? Oh, again, oh, that smells good again. Check out that cork. Beautiful, beautiful cork. You know, Selection Wines. How nice is that? I mean, very, very nice looking corks. You know, it's just like food when I think about wine. You know, the more things you have to make the wine even more beautiful, just like food, you know, when you have a beautiful plate presentation, you know, the more you're going to enjoy your wine drinking experience. Right? Right. So we get them both poured. Your white again, 100% Verdejo, okay, Vino Blanco from Spain, Northern Rioja. We'll give that a pour into our glass, enough that we can take us through the tasting. Again, I pulled it out of the refrigerator probably about 15-20 minutes ago. You know, I didn't want it too cold, but I didn't want it warm either. So it has a nice little chill until you can probably see the condensation or sweat on the bottle. So that's pretty good. You know, it's working out. It's getting acclimated to my environment now. And now for our red. Our red is going to be made from 100% Tempranillo, no blend. Tempranillo from Spain, Rioja. If you're a Spanish wine drinker, you're very familiar with Tempranillo. And another grape they have there called Garnacha. But today we're focusing on Tempranillo Vino Tinto. So this is going to be 2019 as well. You know, get a look at that bottle here. Tercera, Tempranillo, the Cuvée de la Familia, and the Tercera Verdejo, Vino Blanco, Vino Tinto. So now, wine tasting process. All right, I know I have my wines with the backwards here, but I'm going to go, you know, from my right side. All right, so now we get a look at that wine. Okay, isn't that beautiful? It has those greenish hues. You know, when you think about the Verdejo grape, you know, we're talking about a grape that has, you know, kind of like greenish skins. You know, the skins get, well, most grapes are of like dark, solid green. Then as they begin to transform into this ripe fruit, if it's a white, sort of white grape, it's going to go from that dark green to golden yellow. So I'm going to go to that dark green to a nice greenish yellow hue. And that's what we're talking about with the Verdejo grape. A nice, you know, light greenish golden grape, and you can see that's reflected sort of in the wine, right? Now you can get those green hues to it. I'm gonna use our white paper here, you know, to put that at a 45-degree angle. Get a look at that wine. It starts off clear, then it gets a little bit yellow and greenish hues. I mean, fantastic. Give it a swirl. We're gonna go through this tasting process. You know, give that wine a swirl. Our alcohol is going to be 12%. 12% on this one here. So while we're looking at the wine, here's where you can pause and everyone will look at the wine and talk about what it is you see. And I'm just going to keep on talking. So when you return, this is where we'll be. The next step after the look of the wine is going to be the smell. Okay, so we give the wine a swirl. I was swirling the wine the whole time. Give the wine a swirl, you know, to agitate the esters, the aroma, the bouquet of the wine, right? So now, I do a two-step process here when I do this. One is just a quick smell. You know, give my sensors, you know, a setup here. Like, wow, here it comes. This is what we're focusing on. Wow, I must tell you, that smelled really, really fresh. It had sort of like the greenish, you know, kind of fruity nose to it. That was just on a quick smell. You know, very clean. All right. So when we're smelling, we're looking for a wine that smells of the fruit. If it doesn't smell like fruit, what's the point? All right, you're looking for a wine that doesn't smell funky. I mean, a wine that smells funky, some funky wines, you know, some people like those old wines can have that kind of funky smell, but we're looking for that, like, you know, that funk, like, no, definitely not. All right, so go ahead and swirl. All right, that first sniff was like a quick inhale. The second one, I like to go for like 5-8 seconds, very slow, and let everything register now. I mean, get that nose down in there. So here's where you can pause the video again. Everyone goes through the swirl, everyone goes through the smell, and talk about what it is that you're smelling, what you're experiencing. So I like to think of my brain as a little computer, so that my computer is now registering everything that I smell, is checking the database, is matching, matching it with, other aromas, other things that I smell, whether it be fruit, whether it be grass, whether it be compost, just things in nature and food. So making all those calculations and comparisons inside of my brain. So there's the smell on that one. Now, what did you smell? Down at your back, I'll tell you what I smelled. When I first took that whiff, okay, instantly, citrus comes to me. Then it rolled into, almost like a mandarin orange. Mandarin orange with a little lime, but just faint. Then I pick up stone fruit, like maybe a white peach, and probably a muskmelon. So I mean, you pick up these different things that's going on inside of the wine. Now, I'll even go as far as to say, for me, very faint in the background, fennel, but very faint. It's like boom, just like that. Wow. Wow. So that's going to be our white wine. So now we went through the look, we went through the smell. Now we're going to do the taste. Taste for me, if you watch my review videos, taste for me is a two-step process. First step is a mouth rinse. That rinse, I try to get a nice feel for the wine. If there's no acidity, there's no play. That's all a part of this review process for me. If there's no acidity, it's a flat wine, it's already going to get a low score for me. All right, a low rating, I should say. So now we're going to smell, swirl and smell again, and our first sip is going to be the rinse. Now, what I do, I take that first sip and that rinse. I count about 8 seconds, 10 seconds in my head. Get it all the way around, all the way around. So you can get a nice full mouth and taste of the wine. You want your entire mouth to taste the wine. Here's where you can pause, and everyone will go through and do a rinse. All right, and when you come back, now we're going to be talking about the tasting part. So the second taste, or the second sip, is going to be when you actually taste the wine. And what are we looking for when we taste the wine? I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for harmony. I mean, there's components in wine. You have the acidity, you have the tannins, you have the alcohol, you have the sugar. I'm looking for a balance of all of these. I don't want one spiking over the other. Everyone's palate's going to be different, and that's the cool part about tasting wines with a group. Because you can talk about those differences and what do you feel, what you like, what you don't like, how's it affecting your palate. So that second sip, it's still going to be a rinse. It's going to be a shorter rinse, and that's where you're going to see if what you smelled during the smell phase is also going to be what you taste. Are you ready to taste? Here we go. Now, here's where you can pause and take your taste and talk about it amongst yourselves and compare notes while I'll just keep going. Here we go. Wow. For me, that tastes clean, light, refreshing, enjoyable. I mean, it's just bursting with fruit flavor in the mouth. You get kind of like that. What do you think? You get kind of like that lemon pith or lemon zest taste, blended with the fruit. But then it rounds out with those nice, let's say, white peach and melon notes. So for me, it's like just very, very clean. I mean, very clean taste and very refreshing. Wow. So what do you think of it? How does your notes compare? How does your taste result compare to what I just said? And I'll tell you this. Here's the greatest thing about wine. And that is, it's all subjective. We all have our opinion because we're all going to taste things differently, right? Right? There we go. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I think about the wine or give you my rating about the wine until I tasted red wine. as usual, when I have two wines, which I love having multiple wines from the same winemaker, because I get an idea of that winemaker's footprint. What is it that winemaker is trying to say when making their wines? Now we're going to move on to the red. Same process, all right? Same process with the red. I've swirled, I'm looking at it, and get a look at that wine. Isn't that a beautiful color? Tempranielos are known for giving you just like dark, ruby, red wine, sometimes even really dark and inky, depending on the type of wine that it is. So our Tempranillo here is going to be kind of light. Get my white background. Ooh, it's going to be still ruby from the top all the way to a lighter color ruby towards the tip. See, I got it at an angle here. But then when you get down to the bottom of the glass, it gets a little bit darker. So this is more ruby colored, ruby, so garnet to ruby. Let's go garnet to ruby. How about that? All right. Now, I'll swirl for our smell. Ooh, dark berries, which is also, again, typical of that grape, Tempranillo. So you looked at it, talk about it amongst yourselves. You can pause right here. When you return, I'll be continuing on with the smell of the wine. All right. Now, as I said, wow, it has a very nice dark berry, spicy nose to it. Wow. Let's see, if I had to pick out a berry, I would go blackberry, maybe some cranberry blended with cherry, for me. Spices. Spices, I'm gonna go. Wow, that's a tough one. You can kind of get, that spiciness of like bark, almost like a woody spice to it. But definitely a nice fruity berry nose. So, what did you get when you smelled the wine? Let's talk about it amongst yourselves. Are you sharing, exchanging ideas? How cool is that? Now for our rinse, always a rinse first. Wow, love the acidity, love the mouthfeel. Our alcohol on the Tercera Tempranillo is coming in at 14.5%. Also from Rioja, Spain country, region, Rioja. Tempranillos, they're known for Tempranillo in that area. Wow. So nice acidity, nice mouthfeel for me. Let's now give it our taste. What was it for you? Talk about it amongst yourselves. You can pause here. Then when you return, again, as usual, I'll be continuing on. So now, I'm going to taste and give you my opinion. Now, that rinse is very important coming off of the white wine, okay? Because that white wine, it had that, like I said, the zest and pith of the lime that can affect the red wine. That kind of, it has a nice crisp acidity that can affect the red wine. So the rinse was very important to me. So after I rinsed it and then I taste it, the berries still hold true. I would not go and say that this has a 14.5% alcohol feel to it. Although if you drink a whole bottle, you'll feel it. But it doesn't feel like that to me. So there's no burn to it. I thought the wine had nice fruit, nice balance. More medium body, easy to drink. Not too heavy. Not too chewy. Not too harsh tannins. I mean, it's a nice, everyday table drinking wine. Not bad at all. So now, what did you think about the wine? Or if you talk about it amongst your group, what did you all think about the wine? How did it compare to what I said? Now, we're at the part, and I tell you what I think. This is where we now rate the wines. So before I rate the wines, this is where you can pause the video, take your taste again, compare your notes, and decide with either a thumbs up, a 3/4 thumb. Let's just do it. Thumbs up meaning recommend. 3/4 thumb, you know what? I would drink this, and if I really enjoy it, I would keep bottles on hand and share with friends. Halfway, not so much for me. It was missing some elements or it was out of balance a little bit for me. Thumbs down, out of here. So now, here's where you can pause and make your rating, and then come back and see what I said. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep going further. All right, so we're back at the white wine, the Verdejo, the Tercera Verdejo, 100% Verdejo, white grape, 12% alcohol, Spain, Rioja, Northern Rioja. Wow, that nose is great. Let's give it a rating. Your Wisconsin wine guy rates the Tercera Vino Bianco, the Verdejo, with thumbs up. I just enjoy drinking white alternatives to the norm. And this is something that's not normal for a lot of people. That, I recommend you jump out of your box and try something new. So if you're a Pinot Grigio drinker, a Sauvignon Blanc drinker, if you're a dry Riesling drinker, or even unoaked again, Chardonnay, and even some of the Italian whites, jump outside your box, go to Spain, good values in Spain, try some of this. Thumbs up for the white for me, Verdejo. I love alternative whites, especially when it just hits all my spots. Now let's go to the red. How did you rate that white? Are we on the same page? Comment down below and say how you rated that white. All right. Now for the red. Smell. Again. Wow, you can smell those dark berries. Now for the taste. Again, it's important to rinse after the white. In this case, you have to do it a couple of times. That's fine. So here's where you can pause the video, talk about it amongst yourselves, and if you were to group tasting, or you can decide for yourself what you rate this wine. Again, thumbs up, recommend. 3/4, you know what? I can hang with this wine. We can double date. Halfway, not so much for me. Thumbs down, it's not happening. So, your Wisconsin wine guy rates the Tercera Tempranillo. I'm gonna give it a little pour here. Give it one more taste, because this is red. So first of all, I would say this: it's an everyday drinking wine. It's not one that you can lay down and age and say, "Oh my God, this is gonna be beautiful later." Even though it is 14.5% alcohol, that doesn't matter much. Okay, but I don't think it has the weight or the depth, in taste or in color, to sit, for an extended period of time. This is 2019. We're now 2021. So you probably got like a couple more years on this wine, and it may begin to thin out. But you won't know if you buy a couple of bottles of seed. But I think it's going to start thinning out. It's still going to be easy to drink, beyond that. But you can't go too far. I probably wouldn't go no further than 6 years on this wine. There we go. Wow, nice background flavor. All right, so again, I had to taste it twice coming off of the white. You got to do that. All right, I'm gonna go 3/4 on this one. I like the Tempranillos, and things could be changing. I'm just still in my mind in Tempranillos at the heavy, rich, bold Tempranillos that I've tasted in the past. And again, as I said, maybe things are changing now that Tempranillos are coming in more in that, not too dense in juice, in extracting, flavor or density of fruit, but giving a little more balance to it. So I may be biased a little, but I would still give it 3/4. But 3/4 saying that I would buy this wine. 3/4 saying that I would share this wine with my friends. I would have this wine at my table with some food, and having some light snacks. Hey, why not do some tapas, right? Some Spanish, appetizers. So I would definitely drink this wine. I would definitely purchase this wine. It would definitely be a party favor. So, recap. But before, how did you rate this wine? Comment down below. Let me know. Let us all know how you rated this wine. Now for the recap. And the recap is the Tercera 100% Verdejo 2019, got a thumbs up. Alternative white, something different, totally something different for some of you out there. It's not going to be sweet. Both these wines are dry. Nice presence of fruit on the wines. Nice acidity, very lively, you know, but it's not going to be a sweet wine drinker's dream. But if you want to step outside the box a little bit, you just may enjoy this. But I do. So thumbs up on the Tercera White Verdejo. And then on the Tercera Tempranillo, the Wisconsin wine guy gave that a 3/4, saying that, you know what, I may be biased because I'm thinking old school, but as I taste more, maybe things have changed, and this is the style now. However, 3/4, I would drink this, I would share this with friends, and I would have this at my table. Heck, I maybe have this at my table around the holidays, you know, to have with that Thanksgiving turkey. Ah, right? Here we go. So there you have it. Now, I hope this experience, you know, works for you. And as I said, the links will be down below, so you can redo this wine tasting or on-demand style wine tasting over and over again, as long as Wine Insiders will have these wines available. Vintages do run out. So if you want to conduct a tasting with your group, with your friends, now's the time to do it. Links down below. Get your discount, $25 off. And your Wisconsin wine guy will say, as always, let your palate be the guide when selecting your wine. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next Wednesday when we do part two of Wine Insiders wine tasting reviews, or Wine Insider wine reviews. Ciao!